would they drop? Because it was the Ivern, the Renekton, and the Orianna were the bans in that previous one. We assumed that they would drop that Orianna, let that through to ban out the Seraphine. But I also want to touch back quickly on one of the points that you made coming into this, Betty. The last time any Western team won a game in a best-of-5 at Worlds against the LPL SDK was 2020. Yep. FlyQuest in game number 1 has already broken that.
Okay, so not just one adjustment, but 2 from GENG. They ban out the Seraphine, they keep the Ivern ban, they also ban away their own Skarner, which shows me they want to pick something else first on blue side. FlyQuest continuing to pay their taxes of the Yone and the Aurora.
I think it's the Ashe. I think the Ashe is the priority here. With the Nocturne banned away, I think it just makes the most sense. You saw how much early game control it gave over to FlyQuest, and I think GENG wisely take that one away. Now FlyQuest, how do you respond? Because a lot of your initial game 1 game plan has now been dissected, it's been torn apart, so we're gonna have to see some sort of shake-up. What else have they prepared for us?
All right, let's see. How are we going to do this on FlyQuest side? Okay, so that Orianna ban that had to be dropped from game number 1 by GENG, immediately going to be jumped on, locked in here for FlyQuest and for Quad, who had a really good performance on that Seraphine in game number 1.
The problem with going Orianna blind is you're now looking at an easy Vi Ahri sort of combo. Great lockdown, low mobility mid lane mage, very susceptible for ganks, especially with an Ashe follow-up as well. The Ezreal will provide a good of independence. Brucio now has an option for a good Rakan game if they want to leave the Ezreal isolated, get Brucio active on the map. But I am worried about a potential lockdown mid-jungle duo that GENG now have easy setup for.
Yep, exactly. It's going to be interesting to see where they do go. And if FlyQuest can still kind of find some of those surprising wrinkles to the draft, right? Nidalee would be really spicy. They could just go Nidalee Renekton. I think it is Nidalee Renekton.
They'll lock it in. Canyon Nidalee.
Renekton's got to be coming. I feel like it is. They dropped that ban, and I think they have to be looking towards that. You need setup for the Nidalee to really dominate. That is that classic combo here.
Viewers at home, at MSI, Canyon brought out the Nidalee. And he has a world skin, okay? When passing the Nidalee check, this is the man that defines the check. He is the Nidalee player. Seeing him play it here means that things are getting deadly serious here in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is so interesting, right? Because one of the few things that people would actually talk about with Canyon is, well, yeah, he's the GOAT, but maybe the meta doesn't suit him as well. You know, maybe he's not quite as dominant on these tank junglers because he is known for the heavy farming style. That is really what he's famous for. You look at the Nidalee, 43 games, 81.4% win rate, just ridiculous. They do pick the Jax, leave up the Renekton. It is not going to be grabbed here by Bwipo, though. So a little bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, and we do have that Rakan that you were talking about, Vedius. If you want to lock that in when you have an Ezreal, let him do some roams, let him set up some plays, make some moves across the map. You're immediately put in a good spot to do it. Yeah, the Jax with the Nidalee, we'll see how this goes. Azael, you know me, you've cast with me a lot. I am the resident Nidalee hater. Whenever anyone locks it in that's not named Canyon, I hate it.
Unfortunately.
Right now, though, this is Canyon, and this is his Nidalee.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you, man. I'm definitely a Nidalee hater, but you look down and you see Canyon, you're like, my mistake? I apologize. It's a great pick.
Now, FlyQuest had a choice here. Do we remove support options for Lahens, or do we instead pinch the mid lane pool? They're looking and saying, you need an AD mid laner now because you're overstacking on AP. This is a great Merc Treads game already for FlyQuest. So take away the Tristana. Do they maybe even just ban away something like the Corki, something that Chovy is incredibly famous for?
I feel like Smolder instead.
Smolder is another good option, but you imagine the AD mids are going to be continuing to be the trend here for FlyQuest.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, if Chovy wants to play an AD mid, he's going to play an AD mid, right? He played Lucian, he played Draven, he played Jace. Like, this guy plays...
He plays Cassante.
Exactly. Like, he will play something. So, you know, Tristana, if they say, hey, this is the S tier mid that you could actually pick from this situation, we're going to ban that out. The rest are kind of all interchangeable. I think that makes sense. It is going to be another respect ban here over towards FlyQuest. A Xin ban. You're drawing Xin ban, you're drawing Seraphine ban, you're drawing Ivern ban. What can't they do?
That's 4 out of 5 jungle bans from GENG's side.
And I mean, you got to remember, he's got the pocket pick Nunu ready to go. The cheeky hover coming out from Marsu.
I feel like this is now going to become a FlyQuest staple after they broke it out for the win against
I think this might not be a hover. I think they might be actually going to be locking this in.
They got it in!
And France roars to life for
Here's the
Nunu.
thing, and this is why I didn't think it was going to be a bit of a meme in this situation. One of the real big strengths of Nidalee, and when I've talked to a lot of junglers, they say if you can avoid the counter jungling, if you can pick something that can actually secure your camps, that can fight Nidalee in the jungle, not just get run over, you can really be successful. And who's better at actually securing these camps though than Nunu, right? Like you have a fast clear, you have a very healthy clear, you can't really be outsmote. Yes, you're expecting to lose these 1v1s, but you can go phase rush, you can retreat if it's a losing skirmish. I do think it's a pretty powerful pick. I think it actually makes quite a bit of sense here, and we're leaving the 5th pick top for Bwipo, so we're gonna have to find out what is he cooking.
GENG, what do they need now? A strong mid lane is kind of round this composition out.
No way!
Kassadin for Chovy!
Wait, Kassadin!
Kassadin Nidalee, that is, I mean, this is shocking to me. Like, this is such a good MR game. There is the Ashe, but if the Ashe is ever burst down, if the Ashe is ever pressured or gets behind, that is really concerning. Kassadin is gonna be such a slow pace and also does not pair well with the Nidalee. Like, maybe they're using the Nidalee as a bridge to get the Kassadin to the late game, but you can expect the Kassadin to be getting shoved in non-stop by the Orianna. This is gonna make Canyon's job harder because he's not gonna have mid lane prio. You have very little wave clear on the Kassadin as well, but what they do have in spades is side lane pressure. 1-3-1 is going to be so dominant for GENG. If we get to the later stages of the game and they're not behind, FlyQuest is going to get ran around the map, chasing the Kassadin, chasing the Jax. It's going to be a nightmare.
The year is 2024. We are fighting for a spot for top 4 in the world, and the compositions feature Kassadin versus Nunu. We're cooking.
The last time Chovy brought this out this year was in spring against Nongshim Red Force. He went 6-0-3 on the Kassadin, but that was into a Talia back then. Like, it's been a while. The game's a little different since back then.
Things have changed.
And, I mean, we've seen Chovy's Kassadin before, but as Azael was saying, like, in this composition, the laning phase is going to be rough. It's a very powerful scaling pick. You know, the chat is doing that stare emoji, looking at the clocks, waiting for level 16. But in this composition, I think it's going to be a tough one to execute.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a little bit nervous for GENG, and I didn't think I'd be saying that. The last time Kassadin was picked at Worlds, we seem to be doing a lot of this because we're getting a lot of new champions, was actually in Worlds 2021. Showmaker picked it, and he won with the champ. But I am a little bit nervous for GENG. You know, yes, they are GENG. Yes, they are still massive favorites, even with the Game 1 loss. But Kassadin, Nidalee, Jax feels really hard to execute in an era that is dominated by these super objectives that just kind of force you to group and fight, or you lose the game.
Well, it looks like GENG is once again saying, FlyQuest, your weakness has been the early game. We don't think you can punish well enough. We're gonna go for scaling, and it'll be up to FlyQuest to answer that challenge as we're onto the Rift for game number 2 of the series, and GENG is posturing to move into the FlyQuest jungle.
I mean, GENG is anticipating a lane swap. The Ezreal and the Rakan want to get out of the 2v2 against the Ashe Nautilus, so they're setting up information in FlyQuest top side. They're trying to scout out, where is this Ezreal? What are you guys up to? They'll largely just gain control over the top side river. FlyQuest not really going to concede any information. The Ezreal is sneaking his way up into the top lane. The old school plan that you would use is dropping a ward in the top lane to see if the AD carry is heading up there. But they have no read. Bwipo happy to stick around the top side of the map because he's going to be sharing farm alongside Masu and expect Busio to hover around mid, as now the split map will come through from GENG.
Oh, but GENG are going to re-invade again. So Inspired swap sides because he's saying, all right, you're going to be invading on there, but that's spotted as well. So this is actually crazy. How much movement on the map there is being. You know, you can see Inspired, he's actually having to start his Wolves, and he's going to have to leash them and pull up towards that top side because it's going to be him getting harassed on this camp.
And this is what we saw in game 1, but from the other side, right? This is what we saw Bwipo doing, harassing Canyon when he was on that Skarner. And it looks like Inspired, yeah, he's going to not secure the entirety of the camp here.
But still, that's really good for Inspired because he stole one camp from his weak side, right? That's the side of the map that you're not actually supposed to have access to. So the fact that he does actually get that is going to be really nice.
Well, there are pros and cons. One of the downsides, Lucio finds a nice little knock up onto Chovy. Chovy's going to lose a lot of HP here. Busio's sweeper didn't actually spot out any of the vision on the top side jungle, which means that Canyon still has information as to where Inspired is on the map right now. Securing those Raptors, moving up towards Krugs. Canyon going to be getting level 3 of securing his Raptors now, and this means that the bot side dive is very real. Busio ticked over to level 2. Inspired's going to be spotted out by the Ashe E. Bwipo level 2 as well. And now keep your eyes on Canyon on the minimap. Level 3 secured, sets his sights on the bot side of the map, and here's the potential TP into dive.
All right, we'll see how that works out. Inspired going after enemy blue buff here.
But no, there's no dive once again. FlyQuest are going to be uncontested. Keen going to be sitting pretty comfortable on the top side of the map as well.
I mean, Bwipo got 3, right? So he got almost all the way there. 1 or 2 minions die after he TPs. He's level 3. That is a very hard dive against that level 3 Renekton who's full HP. There's no chunk on him. There's no chip on him. And again, FlyQuest are playing the lane swap out very, very well. They haven't created those same gold advantages that they were able to get in the last game, but Chovy's not going to be having fun in the early stages of this matchup. He is going Fleet, very likely resolve secondary. Yes, of course he is resolve secondary, so he has second wind, he has Fleet, he has that D-shield.
2v2 here in the bottom lane though, as Bwipo down to 300 HP. Lehends dropping the Ignite on the FlyQuest top laner. And remember that Bwipo had to already use the teleport for the lane swap scenario, so it's not so easy for him to go back and heal, get back into this lane in a better state, as Quad tries to keep the pressure on Chovy early. This is paramount that this never lets up.
Exactly, you have to be non-stop, getting every single auto attack in that you can, harassing this guy constantly, as Canyon is going to make this so difficult. They're going to go for the dive.
3v2 dive from GENG. Lehends going to lead the way. Bwipo trying to stay alive. He's barely hanging on as he flashes out. Page trying to chase him down. It's first blood back over to the Ashe. Busio still wants to get one back, but he doesn't have the damage. The Riptide slows him down, and GENG get the first blood.
Nicely executed dive, and it's ultimately a misplay from Bwipo. Chovy getting very low, forced a flash in the 1v1. Remember, coming into this, Quad wanted to show Chovy how much he's grown, and I feel like Chovy is experiencing that development from Quad, but we've got to go back to the bot side of the map because Bwipo took a bad trade against Pays and Lehends. That meant that he ended up losing about half his HP and wasn't able to get the level up. This was the go signal for Canyon, knowing that, hey, stuck underneath your tower, my spears are going to do a ton of damage, and even if he didn't connect them, the pressure was enough to secure first blood.
FlyQuest are looking to try to threaten a dive. If he continues to stay, Busio's wrapping around behind him. Remember, there's no flash. He could look for this.
They're letting that recall run down.
Here we go.
Busio wants to go for the dive. This will be pretty important here for FlyQuest. Knock up onto Chovy. Not enough damage to take him down, and now Busio's Cougar Food. Canyon shows up for a punish, and GENG are looking scary in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, Canyon, right place, right time. Once again, gets down bot lane after Bwipo took that bad trade that video is talking about, and gets that kill there. Then is there on the counter gank, and now Bwipo getting pushed out.
Oh, Bwipo went back for the Call the Meek. Pays just chasing him down, shot after shot after shot. Bwipo barely gets away.
Ashe against Renekton, you're seeing some of the struggles that a Renekton can have, how easily you can get kited, but GENG looking a lot more confident here in this early game. A much bigger gold lead gained already, with Canyon securing an early kill too. GENG off to the races here in game 2.
This is massive for them, right? You know, it's actually FlyQuest that were up a significant amount of gold after the lane swap in game number 1, and now they are really on the back foot. They are not out of it just yet, of course. But here is this one more time. There was no Ignite on Busio, and Quad is pretty low on mana, hasn't actually phased, so just doesn't have enough damage to actually get through it. With the Fleet, plus the Q shield as well that's coming out there from Cassidy, is able to survive. Canyon shows up, cleans up a kill, and is definitely going to be feeling much better about his position this game.
And now let's look at the overall consequences, because when we get back into game, you're going to notice a 2-level difference between the two top laners, and we're both going to be struggling in a matchup that's typically winning for the Renekton early on. Canyon, along with the advantage that he's been able to gain early, secures the 3rd grub buff, and FlyQuest, they're kind of forced to trade. I think wise at this point, when you don't have the same strength in your bot lane 2 versus 2, but you're seeing the difference and the power of Ashe in the early game and what she's capable of.
I mean, look at the EXP difference between the top laners. Bwipo just ticked over to level 5. Keen is halfway to level 7. And we're talking about a Jax that you already mentioned it back in draft, Isaac, will be a menace in the 1-3-1 as the game goes on.
Exactly. I mean, Renekton, it's more about, dominating the early game in the lane, being a bully, and then showing up to these team fights and being strong there. We've seen Bwipo play around this pick so well. It constantly gets banned against him because he uses the Steric Spike so well on this champion to soak damage, to create space for his carries. But when you're put this far behind, you're going to get run over in the 1v1, and you're not going to get to those core items that you need to really be tanky enough in the 5v5.
Canyon trying to steal away the blue buff from the FlyQuest side. He's got backup from Pays in the hands, but Inspired better on the smite to steal that one away and tick level 6.
I mean, the gobble from Inspired, assisted alongside the smite, means that no buff will be lost, and FlyQuest find themselves at about a 1.5k gold deficit. The biggest problem I find for FlyQuest is that they keep trying to return to standard lanes so that Bwipo can lane into Keen, but GENG won't give it to them. They're constantly swapping Pays around the map to match this Ashe into the Renekton, starving him of more experience, and Masu really can't bully Keen on this Ezreal.
Oh, Masu getting grabbed by the dredge line, but nicely used there with the Arcane Shift to buffer through the grab. As Chovy here in mid lane might just find himself on the receiving end of a snowball, but considering he's level 7, he can still buffer through that knockoff. But nice shockwave coming out from Quad. Surely they get this kill. No way, Chovy just made him look foolish.
The magic shield on the Kassadin meant that he was able to tank up the damage. The null magic mantle in his inventory as well, doing so much work. FlyQuest just lacking the damage to finish off the kill.
And that was so close. He was down incredibly low, but not getting that kill is devastating. Kassadin now ahead of the Orianna. And this is not going to be good here for FlyQuest. We'll see if they can make something happen on bot side, but now Busio in trouble.
Busio already having to back away as he misses his grand entrance, gets locked up, loses half HP to the fire of Pays. This early game is going beautifully for GENG, not just with the plays that they are making, but the way that they're responding to the attempts FlyQuest is bringing as Bwipo going in against Keen, needs to try to lock him down here for Inspired to show up in time. That snowball needs to make its way into the Jax, but it ain't gonna collide in time as Canyon now shows up. Keen still feeling fine. GENG are loving these first 9 minutes of play.
GENG with a 1.5k gold lead. The gold lead hasn't really expanded that much, but as Azael highlighted, you look at the bottom of your screen, and the gold is going to all the right people. A 30 CS lead for Keen with a 600 gold lead. That's 2 kills without him even having any. Can with a gold lead over the Nunu, and crucially, Kassadin with a gold lead as well.
Exactly, and when you can get through these early levels as a Kassadin, these kind of matchups, you get to the Catalyst, you get to the tier, you have a null magic mantle, and all of a sudden you're not running out of mana, and you can't really be pressured out of lane, and that's where things start to get very difficult for the Orianna, because you have more sustain, you have these shields that you can use on trades, and then as long as you have information on where the FlyQuest members are, you can actually start getting aggressive, shifting in with the ultimate, starting to really take over in that 1v1, and just making it a nightmare for Quad.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for FlyQuest is going to be who actually deals with the Kassadin. They really don't have the lockdown required as Keen.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything for the Jax here either, as Keen is about to win a 1 versus 2. Inspired again showing up just a little bit too late to really make a lot happen. Keen thinking about turning around, maybe trying to finish off Bwipo there, as Inspired on the Nunu. There's no way to have any threat without help there onto the Jax. And meanwhile, since the enemy jungler's bottom lane, it means free grubs for Canyon up in the top side of the river. 6 grub game for GENG.
I mean, Inspired is forced to help his top lane to push out this wave. Bwipo is really struggling in the 1v1. He's the one that's paid the biggest price in terms of how the early game lane swap has panned out. And very wisely, GENG took advantage of the Ashe pick to just bully out Bwipo. And I think already in this series, we're seeing the value of Ashe and how much advantage it gives you in the early game.
All right, Lehens and Pays just keeping the pressure on here in the top lane. We still have 3 minutes left for GENG to use these early advantages they've built to mine some more money from turret plates. Bwipo's gonna try to get a little bit back, taking out this first plate down here, but as soon as Keen's back in the lane, this Lizard has to get the hell out of town.
Yeah, it's time to leave. I mean, he's down 30 CS at this point. You said it, Betty, he was the big loser in the lane swaps. That dive put him so far behind because there was no real pressure being put on Keen. That's the difficulty in this situation is Pays gets a first blood. He gets a kill there. Chovy's now been put ahead as well. FlyQuest are really struggling to find any purchase in this game. And when you look back towards that previous new game, it was Inspired getting so much done. This time, his ganks just haven't really been able to find any effect.
Oh, they found an effect, all right. Chovy got a kill on Cassidy at level 7. That's exactly what GENG wanted to see, as Canyon is now looking to repeat his success here on these Nidalee ganks. Keen flashing forward for the stun with a counter-strike, needs a little bit more damage to kill off Bwipo, but the Croc survives. Canyon will not be able to complete the job. Bwipo surviving on a knife's edge to get the first kill of the game for FlyQuest.
Okay, a little bit of hope there for FlyQuest, surviving in that 1v2 as GENG go too far, and Bwipo just keeps the minions between him and Canyon the whole time. Canyon can never find an angle to actually get the spear, even when Keen lands the stun. And Bwipo holds his stun for after the counter-strike is down, locks him up under the tower, gets the kill. Really well played by Bwipo.
A rare fumble from Canyon as he throws his Q, it hits the minion, and then he smites it. The idea being that he smites the minion first, then it goes through, and the Q is able to connect. But a bit of an execution error comes through from Canyon, and they're able to, Bwipo ultimately finds the outplay. Now, that is insanely good for Bwipo, because it immediately claws back a lot of the gold deficit that he found himself in. It doesn't really change the game state, though, in that Chovy is about to hit level 11. All of chat is patiently looking at that clock, getting scared and scared as that timer gets closer to level 16.
Yeah, I will say, I do think, as much as people talk about Cassidy as late game beast, we'll see if Bwipo can get out of this.
Lands with the dredge line, Bwipo in trouble, arrow from downtown. The Renekton still in danger, trying to slice and dice his way out of trouble, but Canyon's got the kill secured. GENG claim 1, but a teleport's ready to try to get something in response. Quad shows up, trying to put the damage into Pays, but he flashes back over the wall to get away, and the shockwave is an airball. Nothing else for FlyQuest yet, as Lehens is now the target, and Inspired cuts off his escape. FlyQuest making an even trade 1-for-1, and Inspired wants to grab the Drake after.
You're right, Flowers, it's a 1-for-1, but look at the mini-map. Mid is being pushed in, top is being pushed in, the Dragon will be conceded as Canyon. The overstaying is welcome.
Yeah, Quad still chasing after him here, but there is Pays to provide a little bit of extra peel. FlyQuest don't have the lockdown or the damage to complete the kill on the enemy jungler, so it will be Drake secured here for Inspired.
Drake is nice, but they're going to be way happier about the gold they get onto the Cassidy here on the top side. He's going to get solo gold on that tower, and it's a first tower going over to this Cassidy that's already ahead of the pace. Now he's up 1.3k gold. Chovy just got paid.
And you saw the gold at the top of the screen. 250 gold worth of plates for FlyQuest. 1,125 gold in plates for GENG. Their early game has been incredible. There's your MasterCard lane economy snapshot, and it is just a solid ocean of blue. Every single member of GENG ahead of their FlyQuest counterpart.
The Herald is now alive, and I feel like GENG can feel confident enough to force a fight. All of their first major items are completed. You look across the board, only Marsu's Trinity Force is finished, which means in terms of item spikes, FlyQuest is in no position to force a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very difficult for FlyQuest, and when they do take that fight, if you lose it, the game is likely to get fully out of reach. GENG already really running away with this one. This was more the expectation for the series. Game 1, FlyQuest showed up looking amazing, but Game 2, it's GENG who played the lane swap better, who created the advantages, and have been slowly pushing that forward further and further and further, as Chovy now stacking up the row, already up to those 3 stacks, and is going to have that Archangels pretty soon as well.
Exactly. He's picking not just the scaling champion, but the super scaling build. He's heading straight for raid boss tier, and I don't see who on FlyQuest has the gear to clear him. He's just in such a good spot. Only 15.5 minutes into the game, and GENG has now gotten all 3 of the Baron Pit objectives in the early game uncontested.
I mean, the reality is the only person who's going to have a shot at doing it,
that was so close. If that hits Quad, he is in some serious trouble, and he might still be. Chovy chasing after him there, but will not find enough damage for a kill.
Yeah, critically the arrow misses. He is going to be able to survive as a result, if we're going to see Inspired looking mid.
Finds a knock-up onto Pays, but Canyon's here to peel for his AD carry. Redemption summoned up, Inspired just shot to pieces. GENG grabbing 1 kill already, and Canyon ain't gonna drop. Pays finding the DPS in this one, as Keen's ready to jump in to make it 3. A triple kill for the GENG marksman. Those arrows fly straight.
Pays with phenomenal footwork, dancing his way around the fight, dodging the knock-up from Busio, and then re-engaging off the back of the damage from the tower and Canyon. GENG putting their foot down and looking to crush the hopes of FlyQuest here in Game 2.
Yeah, they're running away with this second game. It's looking like it's going to be a tied-up series. And let's not kid ourselves, there was no way GENG would ever go down without a fight, and we might see Whippo going down too.
I think it's more than a maybe, Mr. Azael. I think Whippo is out of there. They'll give the kill over to Chovy on the Kassadin, 2-0-1, as we take another look at what happened with this play mid lane, where Inspired went too far and learned the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. Inspired, nice sidestep on the spear, but tries to pull back, has taken so much damage from the tower. Canyon goes in, the flash comes back, but it's Whippo, arriving, he's not able to arrive, from that top lane. It's Keen coming in with the TP. It wasn't able to be stopped. He arrives. There's no chance of the fight after that. Busio couldn't hit the knockup on either the Ashe or the Canyon Nidalee. Wasn't able to even get the one kill.
The Locket from Lahen's doing so much work as well as we turn our attention to Live.
Chovy in a 1v2, and he doesn't seem pressured at all. Busio and Quad without the damage to really threaten this guy. The arrow flies in from all the way up in the river, and now it's Busio under pressure. Shockwave hits both GENG players, but what's it gonna matter? They get the kill on the support, and they force the flash out of Quad as well. GENG, they made some overeager plays in Game 1, but here in Game 2, they are playing to their limits, and they are crushing FlyQuest.
I mean, they just have so much gold at this point, and the problem with the composition of Fly is it's not matching up well to what GENG have. They're losing in the isolated 1v1s. They don't have the damage to get the hook. Connects.
Lahen's connects onto the turret, and it sets up Pays to just keep firing. Unstoppable. 5-0-2 here for the Ashe as Canyon throws the spear back over the wall. Whippo's coming in on the flank, looking to lock up Pays, who pops the cleanse, getting away from the Croc, trying to kite it out, but Whippo takes him down. 1-for-1 though, as Inspired is also going to drop with Lahen's falling. You can see an ultimate 2-for-1 trade for FlyQuest side as they still continue going forward, looking maybe for Canyon, but it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, FlyQuest, they're going down, but they're going down swinging. Masu, no way out.
No, not from that Kassadin. Chovy is on a rampage. 2 items fully completed. Seraph's fully stacked. Farm at Chovy levels. It's feeling good.
The terrifying thing is Chovy doesn't even have the Malignance yet, and that's only going to make things even worse for FlyQuest. The third dragon of the game will be denied from FlyQuest. Soul Point will not be given to them as an option, and I feel like it's going to take a genuine miracle for FlyQuest to turn this around, because the problem with FlyQuest is they don't have anyone to match Chovy in the 1v1. You could argue that maybe Bwipo can hold Keen in the side lane, or maybe he can hold the Kassadin, but that means that FlyQuest is forced to group because they have to keep the Orianna together. So you're always going to get split up on the sides. GENG can always force a skirmish, and in every skirmish scenario, FlyQuest always lose.
Exactly. I mean, it's so tough. If you can't win 5v5 and you can't win sides, you can't win League of Legends.
Well, they're going for the 3v1 play against Keen, but he's buying enough time. Pays arrow isn't going to hit the target. Keen is down. FlyQuest commit enough players to get the kill on the Jax.
I just love, though, that Inspired is continuing to force these plays. FlyQuest know you can't just sit back and wait for them to scale, wait for them to crush you through the side lanes. You've just got to keep looking for fights. Overload one side, look for a pick, do it again and again and again and again. It's your only chance to win this game. Even if it is that 1% chance, they're going to go for it. And the redemption rush here from Inspired, I think, is actually really intelligent. It is making a big difference in some of these fights.
I completely agree with you, Azael, especially given that now FlyQuest are pushed back to their tier 2 towers, and the bot lane, the tier 3, GENG, it's harder to cross map because now they have to push deeper to be ready to punish that overstack on the side of FlyQuest. So you're completely right that the best case scenario for FlyQuest is just keep overstacking one side, wait for someone to overextend, and Keen will be an easier target to lock down than Chovy as he finds himself 2 levels away from level 16.
Exactly. We are entering the 14th day. 2 days remain until the end of days for FlyQuest in this second game. If it's already difficult, it will become impossible once Chovy hits that spike. There's the Malignance that you mentioned, Vedius, going to give him all that extra ability haste. All GENG has to do is enable him. And we're just talking about one guy. Let's not forget Pays, 5-1-2 on the Ashe, having an amazing game here so far. We've talked already in this game about the early power, the early presence this champion has, and it's night and day compared to the Jinx that was so inactive in Game 1.
Absolutely, and this is what people have come to expect from Pays. This guy has leveled up time and time again. He is such an impressive player. FlyQuest looking for a potential fight. but aren't going to be able to find it.
Nope.
I mean, Pace has just been rock solid for this team. If you get him into a good spot, he is going to dominate the team fights. He's going to dominate the game. And Chovy knows that he's just going to run the side lanes here.
And every time you see Chovy jumping on someone, there's always an Ash arrow coming along with him to try to guarantee that he has the opportunity to get that kill. He will not kill Whippo up there on the top side, but he takes him solo.
And he gets the Sterix pop, which is actually really big.
Oh, Busio jumps in through the Hex Gate, and immediately Lehens and Canyon are ready. The Rakan does escape, but this is just the confidence GenG are playing with. Look at the wards, man. It's a damn Christmas tree, and GenG are the ones sending gifts.
I mean, GenG are making a statement after game one. They are absolutely dominating. Masu slightly oversteps, and Chovy sees an angle.
Chovy not afraid to continue going forward. Inspired the target down to about 1/4 HP. Heals up a little bit with the chomp. Redemption keeping him alive. Busio fires back going in with the quickness, but Chovy's so tanky. GenG's so far ahead. Whippo's gonna be your target here next as the shockwave doesn't do much. Pay's getting the kill on Whippo. GenG just cutting them down like flies. Another triple for Pays as Quad is the only one left standing. GenG 4-0. Baron's coming up next.
And GenG smothered the last flames of hope here for FlyQuest. Quad's gonna go down as well, you have to think. No.
Keen ultimately dies to the turret. He nearly killed the turret to stay alive there, but just barely drops at the end. Pays his arrow, ends up baiting Keen to his death. But the remaining 4 players of GenG will enjoy a nice new purple coat as Baron drops 23 minutes into the game, and the gold lead crests 10,000 for GenG.
I mean, time's up for FlyQuest. GenG are just running the rift right now. We look back at the fight, and it starts with Masu. I mean, it's unfair to say that he's overextended here, but he is. He can't even approach his tier 1 tower. Chovy's just playing with his food at this point. Look at how durable he is with the amount of shielding coming out from the locket, the amount of resistances that the champion has. Lehens is the only one going to get hit by the shockwave. As good positioning there from GenG, and then they turn it into a cleanup. The only thing was the bit of a bait, as Flowers highlighted. The Ash arrow connects, and he thinks, oh, maybe this is a kill. But I mean, Bwipo recognizes it's okay. It's best of 5. It's totally fine to drop a game here or there.
Yeah, I mean, Bwipo definitely having a laugh, but Masu looking very different there on cam, looking very frustrated with how things have gone in this game. Hasn't really had much of an in so far in the game, as it felt like mostly it was decided before we ever really got to team fights, and that can be that situation that sometimes AD carries find themselves in, where your job is to kind of farm it up, and sometimes by the time you got the items, the fighting's already done.
I mean, it's the exact opposite story of game 1. Now that we're 2 games into this series, and this one is essentially done except for walking it to the Nexus for GenG, both AD carries have had a game where they were on the Ash, they were in the driver's seat, and they were determining how this game would be played, while the other guy was sitting back saying, all right, boys, I hope I get 5 items. It feels like this Ash is going to remain the highest of priorities in this series if it's determining this much.
And that's why it's so interesting, because FlyQuest is one of the few teams that often prefers red side. You know, they're one of the only teams that will lose a game and actually pick red side over blue side, which is kind of almost blasphemy. But, you know, will that change going into game 2?
Hayes putting some damage into Inspired here as Chovy is ready to approach from the flank. Level 17 Kassadin, fully ready, fully locked and loaded. Those 3 items fully complete alongside an unbroken armband. He is fearless in this game state.
I mean, he has nothing to be afraid of. FlyQuest, they just don't have the money to really support any play they want to make. It's simply a matter of time for GenG as the base continues to experience the siege. Level 14 now for Pays, pushing bot, pushing mid. The Baron power play nearing 3,000. As FlyQuest are very quickly running out of options.
Yes, the tier 3 turret in mid lane, now about to fall. GenG forcing the issue. Lehens with a flash over the wall, going in for the dredge line, ain't gonna find it. Inspired, having to pop the ult for the shield to stay alive. Redemption here too. Mid lane inhibitor, already down. Bottom lane, the next target. Keen just set it up perfectly with the timing on the wave, and now Bwipo will get locked up and shot down. Sterix will not keep him alive long enough, and GenG will not be stopped. Busio drops next, and the remaining 3 FlyQuest players fall back to the last bastion Bastion at the Nexus turrets, but Pays will not stop. He continues leading the charge, and Chovy's dominating. Another dredge line misses, but it won't matter. Quad and Masu trying to stay alive, but a step outside of the fountain steps is certain death. GENG clear the Nexus turrets. FlyQuest head back into their base. It's a tied series. GENG take game 2.
A great punch back in game 2 here from GENG. Creative draft, really utilizing some of the early game strengths here with that Nidalee. Canyon was everywhere it felt like he needed to be. Makes the dive happen bot, makes the plays happen top. He was everywhere.
It's now been one great game from FlyQuest, another great game from GENG, and don't y'all worry, there's more Worlds 2024 coming your way right after this.